This week, an important announcement, I think it was important, was made in Washington, D.C., when a number of members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, as well as a number of advocacy groups, got together to announce the Expand Social Security Caucus on Capitol Hill. And here to discuss that with us now is Abigail Zapote. Abby is the Executive Director of Latinos for a Secure Retirement, a coalition of groups, actually, that advocates for as you might expect from the name, for a secure retirement, expansion to Social Security. Well, she can tell us what they do better than I can. So they do a lot of media and advocacy work around this, as I understand it. So first of all, Abby, thanks for coming on the program.
Sure, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And secondly, how badly did I mangle what you guys do?
No, I think it was actually really perfect. So the goal of our coalition is really to bring in all of the different Latino actors that are already here in DC, but also across the country, and basically ensure that we're representing the 50 million Latinos across the country and ensuring that we have a safe Social Security or protecting Social Security and ensuring that we expand it so that more folks can take advantage of such a great program.
So, well, let's talk about that for a second. I mean, I think overall, as a nation, there are a lot of studies that show that, people put it this way. They say Americans haven't saved for retirement. I would put it a little differently. Americans haven't had the ability to save for retirement. And that's true of the population as a whole. I imagine it's also true of Latinos as a whole as well, right?
Right. And it because of, the wage disparity, it's become a lot harder for folks across the country to save it for retirement, but especially for Latinos. I know that right now, for whatever amount that Anglos have saved up for retirement, Latinos have only 10% of that amount saved up. So there's that huge disparity. But again, it's why we continue to advocate for programs like this one and to join the Expand Social Security Caucus, because it's so important for our community to get involved into this fight as well.
And I wonder, and this is something I don't think we can answer today, but now I'm curious and I might research it. I wonder to what extent that greater Anglo savings retirement rate, I suspect that's because there are so many more Anglos in the top 1% and the top 0.1% that they skew that number up.
Sure, and it's not only that. I think, within the past 40 years, there has been an immense growth of Latinos in the United States, right? And so with that, it means that there's a lot of new immigrants, a lot of folks that are really starting down from that low minimum wage that, eventually they will be able to see and reap the benefits of being in an American economy. But right now, they're really just trying to catch up to ensure that they're getting livable wages as well. And so, we won't necessarily see it within this first generation of Latinos, but within their children, they would actually be able to see that buildup of wealth that they've been accumulating through that time. As
other groups of immigrants, including my own ancestors, have done throughout American history. So let's talk about the Expand Social Security Caucus. I remember back in 2010, 2011, when we were trying to prevent, and I mean all of us basically who feel about the same way about this issue, we were trying to prevent a grand bargain that was going to say that Democrats and Republicans were going to get together and cut Social Security benefits, impose what they call a change CPI, which was a slow but inevitable cut of benefits, and other changes people wanted to make. And now we're at a stage where there's actually a caucus on Capitol Hill for expanding Social Security. So first of all, I would ask who was in this, who among our politicians has already declared themselves to be a member of this caucus?
Sure. And I'll start off by saying that that's why our coalition was created. We were actually created in 2011 because of the grand bargain that was going to happen. And so we wanted to make sure that we were right there in the trenches as well amongst the other advocacy groups and representing those Latinos there. But as far as, having a Social Security Expansion Caucus is amazing, right? Because 7 years later, we can now say that there are folks that are actually on the Hill wanting to ensure that we protect the program. And so as we know, Senator Sanders, who has been such a huge advocate for the expansion of Social Security, Senator Warren, being those top senators on the issue, and as well as Congressman Larson and Congresswoman Debbie Dingley, which
Dingle.
is Dingle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's been a great group of folks, and it's been great to know that we have 150 Democrats working on this issue right now on the Hill. So
yeah, it's fantastic. And what does expanding Social Security look like to you? How do you envision that?
Sure. I think that ensuring that we have a robust system that really helps out those folks that are the most in need, right? Especially when it comes to Latinos. And of course, I keep talking about that. That's just because that's the group that I serve. But ensuring that folks have enough money at the end of the month within their Social Security subsidy to ensure that they have enough money to pay their bills with, medication being so much more expensive, ensuring that Social Security also is there to make sure that they can afford that. But not only that, when it comes to folks that have disabilities that are in the system for a long time, trying to ensure that they get money, ensuring that those folks don't have to wait a longer period to ensure that they have that money available to them. And as well as children, if anything happens to their parents, knowing that there's a Social Security system available for them so that they won't have to, so that there is that social safety net program, so they won't have to go to other sources to really ensure that they have enough money within their families.
And, so many families, of course, of all backgrounds don't have other sources to go to, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what it is lately. I remember reading that I think the average income for a retired woman on Social Security, for example, all across the board was something like $1,200-$1,300 a few years back. My own mother, I was taking care of her finances until she passed away earlier this year, but it was about that, and that's because, for example, so many women take time off to have children, so their total Social Security is less. So we've talked about some of the elected officials that are behind this. What were some of the other groups that showed up with you? I know Social Security works.
Sure.
We do a lot. We work a lot with them. They sponsor the show. But who else was involved?
Sure. So as you know, that there was also the Medicare and Social Security protecting organization was there as well. Global Policy Solutions was there. Latinos for a Secure Retirement was there, and as well as the United States ARC. So there was just a lot of really great advocates there on the Hill, where together we work within the Strengthening Social Security Coalition, and so we meet every two or three times a month, just to ensure that there is that back and forth going on, and ensuring that the coalition, stays on top of, any legislation that needs our support to ensure that we're bringing in solutions for this entire population.
Okay. And Abigail Zapote, your group, Latinos for a Secure Retirement, you guys advocate for protection and expansion of Social Security, and I think the same for Medicare and so on. So how much awareness and mobilization of these issues, retirement issues, is there in the Latino community right now? Is it a big issue? Is it not an issue? Is it an issue that you'd like to see have more visibility?
Sure. So we would love, for this issue to have more visibility. And right now, actually, as an organization, we're hosting 10 different events across the country to put retirement at the forefront of issues that Latinos are aware of and that they're fighting towards. Of course, right now, with this new administration that has been, giving us a lot of hard work within the Latino community, especially the immigrant community, and especially the DACA community. I'm a dreamer as well. And so it's, there's so many roadblocks that we've been seeing with this new administration putting up in front of the Latino community that obviously retirement isn't necessarily at the priority.
Right.
But within our events, we also mix in retirement with immigration, with what's going on in the economy, with healthcare, just to ensure that our community has an overall overview on what's really happening on the Hill and what's at stake for them on the Hill. And so, while, this might not be a top priority issue, we are ensuring that with all the organizations on the ground and all the grassroots folks that are helping us out, to put these events together, that they know that this should be something that they continue to fight towards, and that it should be as equal ground as immigration, just because it is a program that will ensure that they have, some income by the time that they get into their golden years.
Yeah, if you think about it as a continuum, I mean, I think about my own grandparents. 3 out of my 4 grandparents were immigrants, and 2 of them came with nothing and, you know, despised minority and all that stuff. And, but I lived to see them retire. I lived with my grandparents, thank God, lived to an old age, a relatively old age, my grandmother in particular. And if they, I think looking back on history, if they, when they came to this country, and we're talking now about 1912 or something, when they came to this country, if they were mobilized around certain political issues in their community. They were mobilized around safe housing. They were mobilized around eliminating prejudice. They were mobilized around safe working conditions, wages. But this is really an extension of all those fights, isn't it?
Right, and it really is. And I forgot to mention also that with the events that we're doing across the country, we're also involving that new Latino generation that is coming in the ranks right now. In the United States, the median age of a Latino is 27 years old. So it's folks that look like me. And so if we ensure that those folks know how to budget, if we ensure that those folks know how to get the most out of their 401k, or if they even have access to their 401k, but if we actually give them the tools to ensure that they're saving within this prime time within their lifetime, that by the time that they get older, they won't necessarily be solely depending on Social Security. They will also be dependent on their other savings mechanisms that they've been using throughout the past. And so we're really wanting to make this a holistic view on what they could be doing now to save for, the future. And so within that, we're also including older folks to ensure that, because we know that they have, or parents have been doing finances for a long time. With low-income communities, they're the epitome of resilience and economic resilience, right? And so if we put both skills together, we really think that we'll be able to create, a holistic Latino family that is prepared for their retirement, whether it's for their grandparents or for the folks that are my age saving for retirement now.
So where are these events so people can check them out?
Sure. So you can visit us at www.latinoretirement.org. And we're hosting events in Connecticut, in North Carolina, in Pennsylvania, and in Atlanta. So we're down to our last 4. We had 10 in the West Coast and in the Southwest. But if folks want to visit us, and the website will have more details.
You should go to my home state, my former hometown of New York City, too. And,
sure.
Show up there. All right. Well, Abby Zapote, Executive Director of Latinos for a Secure Retirement. Exciting news about the Expand Social Security Caucus, and great work you guys are doing. So thanks for that. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.